Hey everyone, welcome to another top 10 list. This week's top 10 list is going to be a two-part list. The first part this week is going to be, well, I've gotten questions about investment purchases. I'm not talking stock markets, I'm talking about buying paper money as a collectible, as an investment, as a long term investment. And I've gotten this question a number of times, and I figured it's about time I sit down and go through my top 10 oh pieces of advice on using currency for investments. Is that the right way to put it? We'll see. But I've come up with 10 ideas or 10 concepts that if you are considering investing in a collection that you should consider. Um, I'm also going to do next week the top 10 notes that would be investment grade. There's what you get to look forward to for next week. But for this week, like I said, I'm talking basically the concepts. Now, you don't have to be a millionaire or a billionaire to actually learn anything from this video, because the only difference is your budget, basically. Every one of these tips applies to every single person that watches this. The only difference is whatever you've got in your pocket. You can very easily apply these tips to things that you buy currently for your collection. But I specifically get asked about investment grade stuff, so that's where I'm focusing this, but it doesn't mean it doesn't apply to your average collector either. All right, so let's get started. Number 10. Number 10 is be picky, okay? Don't buy a note because someone said buy this note. If you have your choice, compare notes of similar types. Okay, look them over, make sure that you are getting the right note for you. Just because you have two identical notes in front of you doesn't mean either one is just as good. One of them might have a stamp on it. One of them might be dated a different time. One of them might have different signature combinations. The serial numbers could be different. There's all kinds of different reasons. Paper quality could be slightly different. Color, eye appeal. All of these things amount to how easy it is to resell the note. If you're talking investment grade notes, that is the end game. Don't forget that. Not only are you looking for a note that will go up in value, but is easy enough to liquidate. So you're looking for eye appeal. You're looking for all the little things on a note. So yeah, be picky. Take your time. There is no hurry as to how fast you put this stuff together. Okay, so that is number 10. Be picky. Take your time. Number 9. Uh, you guys know my feelings on this note. This is my favorite note. That is another important thing. Number 9 is buy what you like. Okay. If you don't like your purchase, why are you making the purchase? There are so many other notes that you could possibly buy. Don't ever buy anything because somebody said so. Make sure that the stuff that you're putting your money into is stuff that you actually like. That way, not only do you have the investment, but you have something that you're proud of. It's much easier to sell a particular item when you like the item. When you like the item, people are going to see your passion and how much you appreciate the item, and you can pass that on to people. They will appreciate their item because they saw how much you appreciate the item. Whereas if you have an item that you don't care about, then the seller probably isn't going to care about it that much either, or the buyer, I should say, isn't going to care that much either, which makes them less likely to be a buyer in the first place. So, yes, buy what you like. That's number 9. Number 8, learn what you buy. Okay? Now, if you don't know, you would think I'm holding a $10 1880 legal tender, FR 113, with the signature of Lyons and Roberts, graded 25. That's what you would think if you don't know. But those of you who do know, because it doesn't say anywhere on the note itself, those of you who do know that this is the jackass note. This note has a story. The story is not on the sleeve. You have to know that there is an eagle right there dead center. And if you take that eagle and you rotate it, it becomes a donkey. You can see the eyeball and the white snout and the ear sticking up and the little bit of mane over here. You can see that. So this is the jackass note. But once again, it doesn't say that. Nowhere on here does it say that. If you're thinking about investing money in paper currency, learn about the notes. Learn the little things like that, because that gives it even more value to you and even more value when you try to resell it, rather than it just being a random note. If you can't describe the stuff that you have, you're probably not going to get full value when you try to sell it. So yes, learn the note. And more importantly, if you learn the note before you buy it, you may be able to buy it from someone who doesn't know the story, thus meaning you get it for a cheaper price. So that is number 8. Learn what you buy. Number 7. Focus on value, not the price. Okay? It's very easy for me to pull up all kinds of stuff on eBay that people are selling notes for $70,000 and they're worth $7,000. Well, if you have $70,000 to invest, you'd be likely to buy that $70,000 note because it's the only one out there, without realizing that $70,000 is the price, not the value. So focus on value, not the price. This note here, when I bought it, I saw it had a little bit of mark here, but I still liked how the note looked, and I bought this note for $325, I think it was. I paid the $45 when I had it graded, and it came back with an awesome grade. So, yeah, I focused not on what the note was worth, but on the price, and now I've got a note that's probably 4 digits that I paid $325 for. So price, focus on the value of the note, not the price, okay? Hopefully that'll keep you out of trouble. That is number 7, 10, 9, 8, 7. 10, 9, 8, 7. Number 6. You want to talk about getting notes that are graded and preferably top pop. Now, you can have 2 notes that are virtually identical, that can be virtually close in price, okay, but have completely different grades. One is a 64, one is a 67. And the difference when you're talking high grades, the difference in 1 point can be tremendous. So if you have the opportunity, you want to buy the highest grade possible. If possible, you're looking for top pop, and there are resources. You can go to PCGS or you can go to PMG and actually see their charts of how many of each note they've graded in each condition to give yourself an idea of what the graded population is. So if you're looking at a 64 and you have no other reference, you can double check the site and find out how many notes have been graded higher than this, so that you can be on the lookout for one that is graded higher. And that's really important when you start talking about the higher value notes. Those would be the ones that people consider investment grade, and yes, 1 point could be the entire investment right there. All right, so that is number 6. Number 5. With number 5, I just want to throw this out here right now. Insurance. If you have a lot of notes that are starting to get up there in value, you want to make sure that they are insured. A lot of people think, well, if I just put them in my safety deposit box, they're good. Well, yeah, probably. They probably are good. But if the bank floods, if the bank burns down, if there's any problem at the bank, whatever the case is, anything in your safety deposit box is not insured. So if you keep your notes in a safety deposit box, I would definitely talk to your insurance agent. Tell them you have to explain what you have. They're going to have you document every single note that's in there. And then you can have them insure the note while it's at the bank. Or whatever the case is. You can discuss that with your insurance agent, but just be aware that just because your notes are in a safety deposit box doesn't mean they're covered. So just something to keep in mind. Insurance purposes. That is number 5. Number 4, you want to retain provenance if at all possible. If you buy a note from a specific collector or a specific group or a specific time frame or whatever the case is, if there is a way to document where you got the note, that can improve the value. This particular note I got it from a shop, but the shop I got it from bought the collection of the mayor of that particular town. So the mayor of the town I bought this in was a previous owner. That is part of the provenance of this particular note. And yeah, if that was a famous person, that would be cool to know that your note was handled by whoever. And when you sell it, it's good for the buyer to be aware of that as well. That's why you, if at all possible, you want to keep track of provenance. That is number 4. Number 3, not all of us are millionaires and billionaires. So buy the best note that your budget allows. Now, I'm not saying your budget is $10,000, so I'm going to buy a $10,000 note. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you want to make sure that you are a little bit diversified. If you're going to spend $10,000 on currency, I would most certainly buy a few different notes rather than putting all your eggs in one basket. But don't focus on buying one note for that particular price. So let your budget determine your spending. This is the highest priced note that I have, where there's no argument. This particular note, this is a poker chip, 1923 legal tender $10 poker chip, and the reason I say it is because it grades at a 20. You can look up the grade 20 in any guidebook because they usually list VF20 as one of the prices, and in doing so, the note is graded 20. The note has no marks on the back. So when you look at the price in the guidebook of 20, it is very easy to determine the value of this note. And it just happens to grade out at $3,000 according to the price guide at a grade 20. So this is one of the most valuable notes in my collection. But do you see how I was able to prove that? We don't have to argue over, well, it's a 25, so it should be a little bit. Well, how much is a little bit over? No, this particular note is the exact grade that it says in the book. So with no notes on the back like that, it is pretty easy to determine the value. And over the course of years, as this continues to go upwards, it'll also be easy to track the value of this note. So that one is number 3. Spend what your budget allows. Number 2, rare. That's just the one word I put for number 2, rare. If you can somehow get a hold of a note that has significant, when I say value, I'm not necessarily talking monetary, but when the story behind the note gives it, I'm trying to define this and I'm struggling. Here, there's the example. Everybody has heard the story about the $10,000 gold certificate. These were taken out of circulation in 1933, and in 1935 there was a fire where these were being stored. Somebody went and threw these out of a burning building, and they went fluttering down to the street, and people were scooping these up, and they tried to cash them in at the banks. Well, the banks said, you cannot cash these, they've already been redeemed, and they had all of them turned in prior to the fire, and they know exactly how many are missing. There's, I want to say, 450 of these that are missing. Well, this is one of them. So this is one of 450. That's rare. It's got a great story. Cool note. You can see how this note being rare makes it extremely desirable, especially when you know the story. But yeah, you always hear people saying, oh, there's only 3.2 million of them. They're rare. No, there is 450 of these. That's rare. So that's what we're talking about when we say rare. So look for stuff that's rare. Okay. And before I get to number 1, I should have started with this, but I do want to show you this. In Paper Money of the United States, in the appendix in the back, let me flip to it real quick here to see if I can find this. if I remember correctly, in one of the appendixes, they track the value of notes historically through their own price guide. They show what they give a list of. I will find it on here. I should have had it set up before. They give a list of, here it is. This page says price history of uncirculated large size type notes. And here's the FR numbers of all the notes, and then the prices from 1953, 1964, 1975, all the way up. And then here's the second column here. So in the back, it gives you an idea of what some notes sell for. Let's see, where's a monster? This one here, the very bottom note. Whatever 1180 is, in 1964, you could have had that note for $800. By 2004, that note was worth $9,000. And as of 2021, that note was worth $30,000. So, yeah, you can scan through this little appendix in the back and look up exactly which FR number that is and learn all kinds of stuff. The very first one, I don't know if it's going to show on here because I got my camera set up funky. I'll try. Maybe I can do it. FR16. Right there. That is a $1 legal tender, the first legal tender, okay? And in 1953, you could have bought one for $25. 1964, they were $85. This, of course, is in uncirculated condition. By 1975, it was worth $325. 1992 is $650. By 2004, $1,850. $3,000 by 2013, and $3,750 as of 2021. So if you want to see price gainers and stuff like that, like I said, all you have to do is match the FR number with the large size note, and you can see historically how it increased. So yeah, you probably have that book on your shelf right now and just never looked in the back. Great reference. All right, and finally this week, number one, you want to buy popular notes in the highest grade. Here's a buffalo. A bison. Here's a bison note, not a buffalo. Everybody likes to call this on a nickel a buffalo nickel. No, it's a bison. There are no buffalo in North America. The Lewis and Clark note, the 1901 $10 legal tender. What a cool looking note. I don't have to tell you how popular of a note this is. So if you had one of these in a high grade, that's going to produce high demand. So yes, you want to look for a note that is extremely popular in the highest grade popular. That's what you're looking for when it comes to investment grade notes. All right, if you guys learned anything new, go ahead and hit that like button. If you like what you see and you want to see more, please subscribe. Love reading all your comments. Guys, thank you very much. Stay tuned next week when I show you the top 10 notes you can actually buy. Thanks for watching. I'll see you then.